The eighth Sunday after Pentecost, the reading from Genesis chapter 28, verses 10 through 15. Jacob left Beersheba and went toward Haran. He came to a certain place and stayed there for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of the place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. And he dreamed that there was a ladder set up on the earth, the top of it reaching to heaven. And the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And the Lord stood beside him and said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and to your offspring, and your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth. And you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east, and to the north and to the south, and all the families of the earth shall be blessed in you and in your offspring. Know that I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Jacob's dream. Stone does not pillow well. You cannot fluff it, shape it, contour it, or pile it to suit your preference for comfort. Stone is hard, it's cold, and utterly unacceptable in a pillow fight. I suppose there may be some nocturnal practices in distant lands where hard material like stone and wood are seen as substances appropriate for ensuring a nighttime reverie. A dreamscape that swallows up imagination, that defies logic and reason. In our reading today from the Torah, Jacob, Isaac's second-born son, is on the run. And he has good reason. Not only had he extorted his older brother Esau's birthright in exchange for a pitiful pot of lentils, but he had managed to take advantage of his father Isaac's blindness to pretend to be Esau, so that he might steal the blessing Isaac had reserved for his elder son. Upon learning of Jacob's subterfuge, Esau vowed to murder his brother. Jacob, once their father, had succumbed to his weariness of this world. Rebekah, the mother of these embattled boys, had overheard Esau's Hamlet-like promise to avenge himself on his brother Jacob, and she urged her younger son, the one she favored, to run to her brother Laban in Haran to stay with him until Esau's fury had cooled. Meanwhile, Isaac had blessed Jacob and insisted that he not take a wife from among the Canaanites, but a wife from among his mother's people in the land of her brother Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Aramean. Before ever that part of the story is told, we are already wondering, what kind of woman might Jacob's future wife be? And if Jacob has a brother, would his future wife have a sister? And what might their birth order be? But let us take our time. The time it takes to grow weary before we yawn. On the way to Haran, darkness overtakes Jacob. He stays in an area first called Luz, aptly named because it means to turn aside. It also has the sense of something twisted, as in the wrenching trunk of an almond tree. Jacob, in no small degree, is twisted. But now he reclines on the earthen ground in that unheralded place and takes a stone to cushion his head. How thick must Jacob's head be that he would use stone to induce his slumber? Our quick review of his circumstances has revealed that Jacob's character is not exactly sterling. Indeed, Jacob, through his own design and avarice, has engineered the circumstances that have now borne a fruit of danger and existential risk. He is himself responsible for the great anxiety that now besets him. His is a hard head, to be sure. But then, as sleep settles upon him, as the quiet of night gives way before the lullaby of the evening airs and winds, Jacob is visited by an astonishing, transcendent vision of the invisible bond between the heavens and the earth. He is granted a witness of something so sublime, we are made to wonder how anyone so morally questionable as Jacob could possibly deserve it. But Jacob does not awaken from his dream. He's captive to it. He is held spellbound and awe-stricken as he beholds what his mortal eyes cannot. The emissaries of heaven come and go, ascending and descending by turns the stairway from dust to star and back again. How many angels? What order of steps? Jacob does not enumerate them because they cannot be numbered. The vast company of angels reveals a seriousness of divine purpose, a level of urgent care, extended from heaven to earth, so much so that it is made evident beyond all doubt that God has fixed God's will to bestow in all excelling good on a fallen and corrupted creation. In the very next moment, God stood beside Jacob in his dream to announce just who God is, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac. Jacob safely presumed it must be true that the God of his grandfather and the God of his father too must also be his God. And so the Lord promised Jacob an inheritance so profound in measure, he could never have fathomed it when first he set his sight on Esau's birthright and his blessing. Here was a promise of land beyond anything his earthly father possessed. A promise of generations upon generations of sons and daughters long after his bones would have become chalky white. God promises never to leave nor to forsake Jacob. He swears an oath to be with him and to keep him wherever he goes. The Almighty places Jacob beneath a covering of infinite care that renders him invulnerable to malice, to deception, to machination, to murderous intent. And again, we ask, how can it be that a deceiver and a thief like Jacob could be the recipient of a favor so divine? Our sense of just deserts is offended, dumbfounded, to see blessings so grand gifted to a man so tightly wound and driven, to gobble up privilege and advantage. More weed than wheat. Can anything of value be redeemed from out this young man's soul? Oh, America, America, your name is Jacob. You didn't see that coming, admit it, for neither did I. But America, this is what you did. Not only did you steal your brother's birthright to live free, or your sister's right to search the night sky for omens of sacred presence, or their right to muse on the open sea waters for symbols of majestic power. Oh, no, you decided to out Jacob. More than birthright in blessing, you stole your brother, your sister's very person, his body and her soul. You confine your sister to the tight quarters of a creaking, timber-rotting ship. You chained your brother and manacled him to ascend a stair, no, not to heaven, but to a raised block for auction. When your kinsmen were sold, they descended again into a hellscape of tortured and terrifying slavery. Wicked beyond wicked. You robbed them of their names, snatched away their babies, vilely and wantonly assaulted their bodies, and traumatized their souls beyond repair. I cannot read Jacob's story without noticing how officials in Florida have resolved to revise and whitewash the story of American slavery so that it might prove more palatable to a particular white sensibility. It is as though they yearn to exchange a pot of stinking stew for the truth. They hope to teach children the lie that slavery provided the disinherited slave a salutary opportunity to acquire labor skills, as though Esau might have been better off tilling soil for Jacob rather than hunting wild game for himself. I must confess, this turn in my sermon is a twist I had not foreseen. In its suddenness, I feel suddenly disjointed. And yet, the song the slave did sing, the spiritual we sang just a moment ago in our worship about Jacob's ladder, has a theology we dare not ignore. What does it mean for God to bless the thief, the rapist, the kidnapper, the slaver? What could this mean to the slave? We know what Esau wanted to do. He wanted to avenge himself by killing Jacob. The slave understood that right well. I mean, let's face it. Just ask Nat Turner in Southampton County, Virginia, or Gabriel Prosser in Richmond, Virginia, or again, Denmark Vesey in Charleston, South Carolina, or again, Harriet Tubman from Dorchester County in Maryland. Each had sworn a dreadful oath that in pursuit of freedom, they would either kill or be killed in the attempt to secure it. But if you listen closely to the slave's song of longing, it does not focus on the wrong of Esau, or rather on the wrong Jacob. Rather, the spiritual sees the slave akin to angels, going in one direction alone. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. This is a subtle transformation, but it has world-shaking, world-forming consequence. If ever the slaver had a dream, and he saw a ladder resting on the earth and reaching to heaven, then the slave saw that God had given any slave master, say for example, old Thomas Jefferson, a vision of all his slaves ascending from the earth to God's own Shekinah glory. Look there, Tom. Is that Sally waving goodbye as she climbs her 7 steps to heaven? Do you see the slaves you owned at Poplar Forest, the ones to whom you gave, ironically, biblical names? Oh, I see Hannah, Solomon, and Rachel too. But there goes Cuff. And is that Eston? Your son, your own enslaved blood by Sally Hemings at Monticello? I wonder, did you ever bless Eston? Oh, and look there, look, there, not so far behind, rung by rung, do you see? Isaac Granger, Lucy Cottrell, Anne Elizabeth Fawcett, and Robert Hughes. We are climbing Jacob's ladder, sang the slave. Every rung goes higher, higher. Soldiers of the cross. So the slave discerned not just a ladder to heaven, but a bridge between the Torah on the one hand and the Gospels on the other. The slaves heard Jesus say to them as Jesus had said it to Nathanael, very truly I tell you, you will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. Jesus is the ladder. Jesus is the gateway to freedom land, unto the glory of God and into God's kingdom come on the earth as it is in the heavens. We have yet to see the end of Jacob's tale, how his experience in traveling with God will change his name from Jacob to Israel. We have yet to see his surprising but redemptive reconciliation with his brother, the brother that he cheated. How Esau welcomed him home again with a hearty, glad embrace. And what about hard-headed America? She has yet to fully discover that part of her soul, which is both Judaic and Christian. The slaves heard of the vision of Jacob there under the dark in the land of Luz, but not only there, in the land of the Carolinas, and in Alabama, and in Florida too. But like Jacob, they renamed the place by the stone they used to rest their souls, if not their heads. They built their churches on the pillars, anointed the founding stones with holy oil, and called them Bethel. Bethel AME Church. Bethel Baptist Church. Bethel United Methodist Church. And then sometimes just plain Bethel, the house of God. And so, like my enslaved ancestors before me, my faith tells me that the mending of our torn national fabric is on the way. That God's will cannot be denied. That justice will triumph in the end. But more than all of that, I believe that God will keep the promise for America that God made to Jacob, to go with her wherever she goes and to keep her. I believe God will someday bless all the families of this earth in America and in her offspring, yours and mine. Now, and let us pray forevermore. I believe it because mine eyes have seen the coming of the glory of the Lord. Glory, glory, hallelujah.